All good?
I think we're good, huh? I think I need a little bit more volume in mine.
That's good. Yeah.
I like you deep in my ears, Alex. I don't have any intros here if you haven't noticed anything.
Let's leave it with the ears.
Yes. Guys, welcome to this one time. Today, I am graced by the talented Alex Colaianni. Colaianni. Chef, father, marathon runner.
Yeah.
Just ultimate savage and an inspiration to myself, which is how you find yourself in this seat today.
It's an honor. I appreciate you having me.
Get out of here, man. Thanks for setting some time aside. And we found this lovely spot, SO Coffee in downtown
Very
Phoenix.
Nice. Yeah, very nice.
Very cool spot. Thanks for the latte. And,
my pleasure.
You got a latte to say.
We'll see.
So I met you running my first Ragnar. Was that your first Ragnar?
My first and my last.
And we were talking about that, how I just ran my first half marathon, and I don't think I can do the pavement. And when you were running the trails at Ragnar, you were like praying for pavement.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a road runner. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we met there, part of F3, the workout group that's found nationwide and now international. And we started talking food.
Yep.
And then you also, we're there to run races, and you had dropped this bomb on me that you ran your first marathon at 50 years old.
53.
50?
I started training for them at 50.
You're a smart man. See, I would have been like, I'm training for a marathon next month. But you started training, and 3 years out, you did that one.
If you wait till you're 50 to start, you need 3 years. You can't do it in a few months.
I need 3 years, and I just don't do it. So, first off, wow, right? Wow. So, what pushed you to run your first marathon, or to even start training at 50 to run a marathon?
A photo of me with my son, his senior year of high school, and I didn't recognize who was in the photo.
Oh, wow.
That feeling. So, I'm from a generation of pre-cell phones, so we didn't have pictures of ourselves around all the time.
Yeah.
And the rare time that a picture would be taken of me and get, developed and eventually come back in a little packet of photos, I was rarely the person in the photos. So I didn't see myself much.
It's true.
From 18 years old till I was 50. I don't like mirrors. I don't look at myself a lot. And it was just a striking moment because it was a cell phone photo.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who the person was standing next to my son.
Dang.
The expression on my face, the look of me, the way I carried myself, and I was 280 pounds. And the last time I remembered what I looked like, quote unquote, I was 18. I was 180 pounds. I was about to go off to the Navy, and that was it. That was literally, it was almost like I hadn't seen myself in 40 years.
That's kind of said. It speaks to how men kind of view themselves. Like we all view ourselves at our most virile and healthy. Like, yeah, that was me when I was 18. So that's why I tell myself, oh, I'm gonna run a marathon. Yeah, I'll run it next month because we just live on those. And
we want to pretend that we still look that way.
Yeah. That's all the high school football stories that people talk about. That they reminisce on. That's literally it. I mean, some people do peak at high school. So you saw yourself at your own son's high school graduation, and you're like, for one, you didn't like the way you looked, but also a part of you said how you were standing and like what your facial expression was.
What I was projecting about happiness and contentment and everything. The whole package was not what I wanted to look like at 50. Yeah. So all of it, I attacked all of it.
And you're also looking at it through the lens of modern day 50-year-olds. Like you guys are different than your parents' 50-year-olds, Yeah. When you were 50 back then, you were, I'm done calling it quits, this and that. Not you, man. You turned up the flames.
Well, on everything. But that I used a physical goal. I wanted to qualify for the Boston Marathon. That was the goal. The most inspirational athlete in my life, and I have like professional athletes in my family, but the most inspirational athlete in my life was a friend in high school named Chris Dugan, and he was our star cross-country runner and track runner for distance. And I was a shot putter. and I would watch him, and I just thought, he's the only one working hard out here. Like, he's the only. The rest of us are doing nothing. And he was very, very good. Scholarship athlete for college and stuff. But that always stuck with me. That the endurance model seemed to be the best commitment to fitness. And
Longevity, the long game.
And then as all of endurance athletics has changed, with triathlons and all that stuff. I mean, I'm talking about a time when the only people who were endurance athletes were runners and a few bicyclists at that time. He was the inspiration. His running form, his image going around the track as I would stand there as a fat guy throwing shot put.
Well, because I was going to say, you were 280, but you're not a small man. You got the stature.
It stuck with me. So that's what I thought was getting in shape, fitness. So I took up running, and the goal was to qualify for the Boston Marathon.
And why Boston?
Because you have to qualify. Because all the other marathons are just lotteries or pay and go. And Boston, it stands apart in the marathon world.
Yeah.
Because amateurs do it, but they have to qualify. So it's almost like you've made it to the Olympic team, or you've, and especially as you get older, that one, and it's just so historic.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's part of its history, is that it's unique in that way.
Yeah, it's like you have to get chosen, for it. You can't just, again, I'm gonna run the Boston Marathon next month and go. No, there needs to be a track record of you doing it, right?
And you have to run. So to qualify, you have to run a full marathon at a certain time for your age.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense for the age too.
Right.
So, and you ran.
I've qualified 3 times. I've run it twice, but I've qualified 3 times.
When is that one held? Is it during spring or so?
Yeah, April. It's the 3rd Monday in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say, if running, I just did the rock and roll marathon last week, and I'm like, if I was in Boston last week.
Now I'm gonna hold you accountable.
For what?
You ran the half marathon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, thank you for that. So I said it as I said it, and I kept going. I was like, well, I kind of glossed over that. Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, half marathon, guys. Half marathon. It's true.
Yeah.
We were talking about, I don't know if I could do the full marathon on pavement. I don't know.
Sure you could.
I guess I actually have to train.
Yeah, you can't fake a marathon. That is, yeah.
So you ran it twice.
Yep.
Who did you have kind of like helping you along the training, and then also maybe there for the actual competition? Or you're competing against yourself at that point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And just people in your age group. Like that, one of the things that running is wonderful as you get older is that it can bring back competition in your life outside of yourself, because like here in Phoenix, all the 60, I'm 61. Yeah. So all the 60 to 65-year-old runners, we all know each other.
Yes.
We're all at the same 5Ks and 10Ks and all that stuff, and it brings that aspect back into life, beside competing against yourself.
Yes.
And father time and injuries. But so the first one, I pretty much train alone. I just follow a couple different professional runners programs.
Gotcha.
I'm a solitude runner. I'm not a group runner. But the first one was 2018. And it was the coldest Boston Marathon ever.
Oh, really?
It was 37 degrees with 25-mile-an-hour winds, headwinds the whole way, and driving rain the entire time. So there were supposed to be quite a few spectators, family members and stuff, and I asked everyone not to come because we knew it was going to be miserable.
Yeah.
And but my sister came with one of her sons, and funny story on that is, I was pretty delirious. We all got hypothermia. I mean, it was brutal enough to be in the Boston Marathon, but it was brutal. And I was going down Boylston Street, which is the last street. It's this famous left-hand turn you take. Ooh. The crowd is there, and they were there in that weather. It was amazing. All the way, a whole 26 miles, people from Massachusetts turned out. But I turned the corner, and I couldn't believe I was there. I was on Boylston. I made it. I was delirious, and there was a woman with about 400 yards to go, standing, shaking an Arizona flag, and I just kind of saw the flag and thought, well, that's cool. And as I'm finishing, I thought, how did she know I was from Arizona? And it was my sister.
Oh.
But I didn't see her. I was so delirious, I didn't recognize her.
Yeah.
So when I was done and we met up at the family area, she had the flag. I'm like, oh, that was you. I was so out of it at that point. But they stood in that weather waiting for me. And then the second one I ran was 2022. And just my wife came for that one. Gotcha. And we designated a spot that I would see her at the very end and stuff. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Because once you're there and you've gone through all your own demons and physical, injuries that come along the way of running 26.2 miles, you're just like focused on just get to the end.
Right.
So that's good. That's good to see her near the end and give you that last little bit of juice.
Yeah. That one was. I mean, it was second, so I was familiar with the course. I was familiar with the accomplishment.
Yes.
So my headspace was a little more. I was looking for her. We had it planned, and yeah.
So wait, the first one you ran was that brutal one?
That was it.
Then it's all like it's a cakewalk from there.
Yeah. So at Boston, every year that you run it, they give out a jacket of different color every year. So, and then when you go for another Boston, you go to the expo before to get your number and stuff, and everybody wears their old jackets to kind of show, oh, I've done this before. I was here and whatever. And it's one of the ugliest jackets they've ever made. It's an orange colored jacket, but we all wear that one with pride because we know, like we dealt with the worst one ever.
Wow, and what it took to get through it. That's a bonding moment, which is something that those events and like the workout group bring out in people. It's like, yes, it's a physical challenge, but you have to understand that you have to be mentally strong to get past the physical adversity that comes with it. And if you can look to your left and look to your right, and there's another person right there with you, you have a level of respect and an understanding amongst each other because you know what you've been through.
Boston, because you have to qualify, the entire weekend is like that. Because, and Boston is what's called a point-to-point race. So it's a linear course. It starts out in rural outside of Boston in a suburb, in Hopkinton, and then you run a straight line into Boston. So you have to take buses to the starting line from Boston.
Okay.
And as you all pack on the buses, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark still, and you all look at each other with absolute mutual respect because you all know, no matter how old, you all earned your way into this bus. You all earned your way into this race. And twice you did it because you had to qualify and then you had to get ready for the race itself too. So it is a really true bonding moment at that race.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I got to put that one on my list now, man.
Yeah, it's almost like making an Olympic team. Like it's just nobody cheated their way in.
It is true because I mean you do hear that. You do hear like that's the big one. When people talk about marathons, oh, I ran the Boston Marathon, and I just thought, okay, it's Boston. It's got all this history to it, glory. Plus there was that big tragedy that happened. So I always just took it at that. But that's right. I do remember somebody mentioning that you had to qualify for it. And it's totally been out. So. Okay, I have to add that to my list.
Yeah, it's not but
at 53.
It's here you go.
I'll do it by 53.
You got a while. It's not the fastest course though, because there are a lot of hills. There are much faster courses than those races have become very famous now. London, Paris, Berlin, Chicago.
But, a lot.
Yeah, and they're very fast. So they get famous for their speed that the winners are running.
Oh, gotcha.
But, again, those aren't. For the regular runners, Boston.
Someone just beat the old record, right? Which one was that one on? I'm trying to remember. The guy ran like a
2:0. He's first person to go sub 2:01.
Yes, that's what it was.
So there's two men that are the fastest of all time running simultaneously now. And one's kind of the heir apparent to the other, both Kenyan men.
Gotcha.
And they've both run 2:01, and one of them ran a sub 2-hour marathon, but it was in a controlled
2:01, and I just ran a half marathon in like 1:50. Holy crap, man. Those guys are booking it.
It's about 4:43 or 4:45 a mile for the whole way.
It's probably the fastest I ever ran.
No, you've never run a mile that fast. Never? No.
No?
No.
Not once? And they did it continuously? They did their average, was that?
You would have been a state champion in high school if you...
No, I ran it one time. It was when I was running from the Border Patrol.
Yeah, there you go. That's why you like trail running.
Nice one, man. I'm the comic here. No, you're great. Dude, you're a chef.
Yep.
You've worked in kitchens.
Oh, so 35 years.
You know how to talk shit with the best of them.
Absolutely. And a little bit in Spanish, too.
Yeah, you have to. Oh, man. So, did being a chef, and I feel ridiculous asking this question because to me, the answer is an obvious yes, but how did that affect you getting to your heaviest in the sense of...
Oh, well, right? I probably...
Do you trust a skinny chef?
Sure. That means they're disciplined, and you want to eat in an environment that runs a disciplined kitchen. But
gotcha.
I probably would have gotten there no matter what I did. I was heavy as a kid. I was an Italian kid. I learned to eat for stress.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was my comfort. My escape, so I would have gotten there no matter what I did. But it made it a lot easier to have a whole walk-in at my disposal if I was having a bad day.
Right?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and a bar and a...
Yeah. What was your choice?
Oh, bourbon.
Burbs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
But yeah, it's a much quicker path if you have a restaurant and a key.
Yeah.
To the restaurant.
When did you realize that you loved cooking that much?
Was going to college. My plan, so I was in the Navy, then started college, and my plan was to work my way toward medical school. So I was studying primarily chemistry as like the undergraduate, and I just took a restaurant job, and 30 seconds into stepping into the kitchen environment, I was hooked.
Wow.
It was just, it was not planned at all.
Yeah.
I cooked as a kid. I liked to cook. I made dinner for my senior prom date at my house. Like I made the dinner.
What a flex.
Yeah, good flex. Didn't work though, but it was a good flex. But I never thought it as a profession, and they are really unique environments. So I'm sure for you, it's like the first time you stood up on a stage and did comedy with a microphone in front of you. For people who end up staying with it and doing it, no matter what, something clicks when you're standing there, and something clicked. It was just where I was supposed to be. Yeah. I loved the chaos. I loved the heat, the noise, the stress. I loved the fact that they were making something that right then was going to be eaten. Like that immediate gratification and validation of the effort, the creativity. But all that you learned in time. That first just moment in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It just felt like home.
And where was this?
In California.
In Cali?
Yeah.
What kind of restaurant was it? That
was just a casual taco kind of place.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Man.
And so I decided, I made a commitment to, like I knew then, all right, this is more than just, this is interesting. And at that point, there wasn't celebrity chef, but some chefs were becoming famous.
Yeah.
But like it was, pre-cable cooking shows and all that stuff. So I decided to see if I could work with a great chef, and there were a couple in LA because I was in Long Beach. And so I got into Wolfgang Puck's second restaurant.
Damn.
He was opening his second restaurant called Chinois in Santa Monica. And I had to work for almost 3.5 weeks for free. Every day just went in and did whatever was asked, prep, because I didn't have a culinary degree. I didn't have a background. And once I got in that kitchen, that was it. I left there almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
Didn't go back to college and was the sous chef when I left. And that was the end of it.
Dang. So did you move states, or did you just when you left there, were you leaving the state, or
we left California, came back to Arizona. Then I was here at the Phoenician Resort for many years. I was a corporate chef for a restaurant called Sam's Cafe, which was around the country. So I did that side of it, where I was a chef like living out of an airplane basically for many years. I've had my own restaurants, owner-operator places, everything, hotels, everything.
Wow.
Vegas, the Bellagio.
What's one of your favorite aspects of the restaurant business? I guess on the food side of it, like maybe preparing like small meals or like 5-course meals, like tapas, like
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's all food.
Yeah.
Chefs who can sustain it. This is how I kind of, because not a lot of people get into it, but a lot of people burn out, or it burns them out.
Yeah.
To sustain it, the way that you would look at it is you don't cook for you.
Yeah.
You're cooking for them, whoever them is. And in most cases, it's the people keeping the door open and keeping your payroll flowing. And I mean, so you try to figure out what the market needs, those kind of things, all the stuff. But in the end, it's all just food. And I like making food that makes people happy. So if they want tapas, I'll make tapas, and if they like it, good. And then I did a good job. If they want a 5-course meal, if they want, but again, I've worked from 5-star hotels to just casual dining, and in all of those places, the cooking part is actually the same. And the attitude of I'm here to make something for you, not for me. I'm not here to make me happy.
Gotcha.
I'm here to make you happy with my skill.
Yes.
So you can apply that to anything.
One question is how do you properly send something back to the kitchen? Because you're cooking for me. So it's like, how do you send it back without, because everybody has like those stories, right, where it's just like, oh,
just communicate what clearly it is you didn't like about it. So so that the person on the receiving end can actually address it. Yeah. That's all. But
instead
you're
of saying, hey, this is hot garbage.
No, but you're paying. You don't have to like it. Like, that's the exchange. We're hoping you like what we make. But if you don't, like, the first line should be, well, I'm not going to take money from you. That's the whole exchange. You're giving me money, but I'm supposed to be giving you something you like in return. Yeah. But just be polite, and they'll be polite back. Yeah. I mean, they should be. We all should be. But I think we're losing a lot of that ability.
I'm sure you get people up in their ways like, oh, I made it perfectly. This person doesn't know.
You don't even waste your time with that. You just know it doesn't matter what you say. They don't like it that way. So how would you like it? Okay, cool. I'll make it that way. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So like a simple one is, if your steak's not done right, you don't say this isn't medium. You just say, I'd like it done more.
Yes.
Because,
there you go. Yeah.
Because more, I get more. But if you're telling me I did the wrong thing, no. So,
different levels of pink.
Right.
We all prefer different levels of pink inside.
All the pink in my steak I can get.
I know, same, man. Juicy, and then lather it up with everything else. Man. Restaurant business, man. So as soon as you got in there, it just hit you in the face, and you're just like, this is what I got to do. Absolutely. I feel alive. I do have a quote, almost reads like a poem, since we're in this Esso Coffee House. They actually host poetry here. Maybe I'll come perform it. I don't know. That's pretentious. But I have a quote where it's like, hey, if you want to know the soul of a city, listen to its musicians. If you want to know the psyche of the city, listen to its comedians. And I break down all these things. If you want to know the work ethic, I think is what I said, listen to its laborers and values, listen to its parents and all of that, right? And then at the bottom, it's like, and if you want to know all of these, gather around the fires where food is being cooked.
Absolutely.
Listen to the chefs, listen to the people who nurture that very community. All that shit comes crashing down on there. And that's why it makes sense why like people like fall in love, why there's always cooking shows. There's always something new, a new angle, or even that could be the recycle thing, but it's a different dish. It's there's always a different aspect that gives it a slightly different twist on it. But I don't think it'll ever go away, just because of the nature of what food is. It's nurturing, it's community, it's everything. It's the culture. Right. So I can see how you would have gone back there and just been like, yes,
it's also one of the greatest ways to not just the creating of the meal, but I can't think of a better way, beside maybe Ragnar, to get to know someone is to share a meal, eat with them. You know, not just eat for or cook for them, but eat with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. I mean, I do it now, kind of in private ways. I've retired from the big restaurant world scene. I do individual things and stuff, and I do some teaching. But the biggest thing I miss is the culture of the team in a kitchen. They're fantastic. They're a fantastic medley of cultures and people and languages. But everyone cooks.
That's right.
Everyone cooks. Everyone creates food all over the world with their hands.
Yeah.
And it's a common thing that you can bring together. And like I said before, I don't care what it is you're asking me to cook. And a lot of other cultures, people are raised still cooking. In American culture, we don't cook a lot as kids. You know, it's just fast food. But so the skill of the hands, the personal attachment to the thing they're creating that with 60, 80, 100, like when you open a new restaurant.
Yes.
And you bring together 80 strangers.
Yeah.
And in a year, it's a family. And you work through the give and take of that first year and who's going to end up being the family. But there are no tighter families that get created than the big giant families in the kitchen. And I miss that the most.
Yeah, it burns hot, man. Something about that environment.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's fast. So I guess that leads me to my next question is, what's the biggest team you were ever in charge of? And what's the smallest team? And what's your sweet spot? And I know it depends on the restaurant and the food, I'm sure.
Directly responsible for. So when I was a corporate chef, it was a huge team. But, you know, the direct accountability people that I contacted were mostly just the restaurant chefs themselves. But the direct team, about 400 cooks.
Dang.
Yeah. Dang. At a hotel kitchen that was 24 hours a day. It also was the room service kitchen. So a massive staff.
Going and going.
Yeah.
What's the smallest group you ever had?
2.
Just you and your wife?
No. You shouldn't. No.
Oh.
I've never had that experience. So I can't imagine sharing that stress with the other stuff that you're already doing in the rest of your life as a married couple.
Yeah.
That would be a unique partnership. I never looked for a sous chef or a chef in a wife. I don't know if I'd want to combine that.
Is there a famous cooking couple? I can't think of one.
I'd be tough.
Wow.
It'd be tough to mix those.
There's even a lawyer law team. That's the husband and wife.
Because ultimately, though, in a kitchen, now, I've known couples where one person runs the front of the house
gotcha.
And one runs the kitchen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, a kitchen, someone has to be in charge. One individual has to be the final word on everything.
So it's either the man or it goes out of business, right? Just messing. Hey, easy.
So I think that'd be hard to share that. Yeah, I've never seen a kitchen that works where it's a shared.
Yeah.
You got to have one voice in the end.
That's true. So 2 people. What were you guys cooking up?
Just tacos.
Just tacos.
Yeah.
God, man.
Yeah.
I think I asked you this at the Ragnar. And
it was a little restaurant in Long Beach, California called Salsa Boy.
Ooh, I like that. Salsa Boy. Were you in a little skirt, dude? Flipping it? Dude, so I think I asked you at Ragnar, and I might have been delusional because you gave me some serious side eye. But listen, I'm real this time. Is the quesadilla the epitome of all culinary expression? Like that form? Look at you smirk. Hold on. What can't you put in a quesadilla, and what can't you fatten up the dough, and now it becomes a pizza? I don't know. What do you think? You hate it. You hate it. All right.
Well, if my last name was Montoya, I would hate the quesadilla. Yeah, because we've reduced all Mexican cuisine and Latin cuisine to a quesadilla.
Yeah, just put it in a quesadilla wrap
or a taco
of some sort. Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yeah,
you're mentioning this place right up the way that has like authentic Mexico, like Mexico the F.
Mexico City, food.
Yeah. Which is different than we think about. Like,
absolutely.
Even me, I grew up, I grew up Mexican. I'm still Mexican, right? But our whole idea of Mexican food is Tex-Mex, right? Is that the
either
whole...
Tex-Mex or Sonoran Mex, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything finished with sour cream and cheddar cheese.
That's true. Damn it.
And the last I checked, cheddar cheese doesn't really exist in Mexico.
No. Only after you drop it on the floor on the streets out there and you pick it up and there you go. Yeah. So you're slanging tacos with 2 people. Okay, so what's your ideal like kitchen like staffing wise? Like where you really kind of know everybody very intimately and you know, it just flows really well. Is there an ideal number to that for you?
I mean, the closest I could tell you is a restaurant I had in like Jerome, which was 3 meals a day. You know, I don't know, 20 tables, smaller restaurant, a town restaurant. So we knew everyone. I mean, unless it was tourists, but we knew all the locals. We knew the employees probably all lived in Jerome or at least in like Cottonwood.
Yeah. And
we had a staff of 20, 22. And that was like a big family.
Ideal for that.
Yeah.
Huh? So do you host all your like holiday, like the cooking holidays, or are you kind of
I'm
like
asked to?
You're asked to, yes. And you're always booked.
Well, I'm not always the host, but I'm usually asked to cook.
Ah, okay. And then you ask them how big their island is, and
right. Absolutely, there's certain relatives that have a good kitchen, and I'll say, sure, in your house I'll cook.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love holiday meals. I think Thanksgiving dinner is probably my favorite thing to make.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the general traditional one.
Yeah, I get that. Though, you know, I've always enjoyed the foods that are involved with it. And as I get older, it's definitely like something that you need to keep tradition alive in that sense and bring everybody together and nurture that.
The little cheat though from chefs too though is that for the most part, the classical kind of American Thanksgiving dinner is really easy to make.
Yeah.
And people think it's really hard. So it's really easy to impress everyone.
Well, the thing is, the turkey always gets dry, right?
No, it shouldn't.
So see, here you go. So what is the surefire way to just knock everybody's socks off with your turkey this next year?
Okay. Very simple, because we used to cook hundreds of turkeys for the brunch, the Thanksgiving brunch.
Yeah.
It comes with a natural sealant. It's called skin. So you don't need to baste it. You don't need a bag. You don't need anything. You just need to seal the skin as fast as possible.
Okay.
So high-low. So 45 minutes. A 20-pound bird can take 3.5 hours. And 45 minutes at 425 degrees. Seal the skin right away. It's all brown in the first 45 minutes.
Gotcha.
Turn it down to 300. Let it go for another 3 hours. Take it out. It's perfect.
Wow.
And you'll see the juices boiling under the skin.
Yeah.
But don't ever open the oven. Don't put other stuff in. Then when you take it out, throw all your other stuff in to get ready for dinner.
Gotcha.
So you don't lose humidity. You just let it be in there if you only have one oven. But it's foolproof.
You're telling me it's that easy. I might take it upon myself as somebody that's never cooked and really, done something like that for, a good group of people.
So easy. All birds are easy because they come with a natural sealant. They all have skin.
So wait, so what would you say is maybe one of the harder meats or proteins to cook with? Would it be like fish?
Oh, well, some fish, because it's if you're struggling with it, it's terribly delicate. If you do it well, it's wonderfully delicate. But fish is the one that requires the most finesse, absolutely. And certain types, but fish, because fish can get dry really fast. Fish can fall apart really fast. You can cut it wrong. You can do it at the wrong temperatures and stuff. So
And do you find yourself partaking in lots of seafood here in this desert, sir?
Sure.
Yeah?
I mean, it's all it's all shipped by plane now. It's all fresh, basically. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather go deep sea fishing and catch a fish and cut it up and eat it that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's all shipped around everywhere now. So as long as if you're not too far from an airport.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I was going to say, the follow-up question is, what year were you like, okay, I can give it a shot now because of transportation?
No, but I mean, there's some really good seafood shops here in Phoenix and Scottsdale now. Yeah.
I hear good things for sure.
Yeah.
I don't get out as much. What have you ever been like spearfishing, or just
I deep sea fish a lot. I've never spearfished.
You have a crazy story, one that got away, or someone lost a finger?
A lot of crazy stories once you go out on the ocean.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, I've caught when I was in the Navy. I was stationed, quote unquote, but my ship, I was on a repair ship, and it was moored at an island called Diego Garcia, which is literally in the middle of the Indian Ocean, like a dot in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It was used it was a British Air Force airfield base first. And then in Vietnam, it was used for B-52s to get refueled and go to Vietnam. We used it. And why I sat there, it is chock full of hammerhead sharks.
Okay.
So lots of fun hammerhead shark stories of catching them off the shore, catching them from the boat.
Yeah.
Dealing with them once you catch them, because it's a big critter.
They're huge.
But, I mean, I caught sailfish, swordfish, tuna. My son, probably my favorite story is my son grabbed a nice, almost 75-pound grouper in Mexico. And he was I think he was a sophomore in high school at the time.
Yeah.
The look on his face when that thing weighed him down, and watch him try to bring that up from the bottom, that was fun. And watched him bring it over the side, and how he couldn't believe the size of this thing that he had just, that was cool.
Huge.
But
man.
yeah, I mean, fishing out on the ocean is always a surprise. You never know. Something bends your rod and it seems huge, and you no idea what's about to come up. That's kind of cool.
That's cool. So you're sucking something out of another world.
Yeah.
Back up here. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. F3, man. How did you get into F3?
I got into F3. I was on an acting shoot. We can talk. I get into that, but I started doing that as I got in the last few years thinking about retirement. And I was on a shoot with somebody who does it. So for F3 people, it was a guy named Bear Trap.
Okay.
And we were on the shoot together, and it was a 2-day shoot, so we got a lot of time to get to know each other. And he invited me, so I joined doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been very cool.
Yeah, it's a good group of dudes, man.
Yep.
Good group of dudes. So you got into acting. How long have you been acting at this point when you met Bear Trap?
I've been doing it now in the older part of life for about 4.5 years. 4 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we met about a year and a half ago.
Gotcha.
Bear Trap.
Okay. So what steered you in that way? Where people are like, hey, you should be on magazine covers.
I dabbled in it as a kid.
Yeah.
During one of my first restaurant jobs in Seattle, I early in my chef career, before the career started weighing on me, I dabbled in it again in my 20s and got parts in day parts in 2 films, Hollywood films.
Okay.
So I was on the set.
Yeah.
A Deborah Winger movie, a Richard Gere movie. So I was on the set. It was cool to see it and everything. And then just kind of life took over. And then with the weight loss and lots of changes in my 50s, it was really my daughter who took it upon herself to say, you should go after that again.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool, Dad. You should go after that. Or Papa is what she calls me. So I did, and when I moved back to Phoenix about 4 years ago. When I got here, I just auditioned for agents and got an agent, and I've been doing. In Phoenix, you do mostly commercial work, but some film stuff has come through, and my thrill so far is I got to be in a mafia movie since I'm Italian.
Yeah,
I got whacked, which was really cool. And I got to work the whole day with a true mafia person in Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Get out of here, man.
It was a movie he was making, and he starred in it, and I did couple scenes with him. Yeah.
Wow.
So I spent the day with him here in Phoenix. Yeah.
You're a different aura to someone that
Oh, it was really cool. Yeah, it was neat to send those pictures back to New Jersey with going, hey, look who I'm with. But that was fun.
How did you get whacked? Or is that a spoiler alert?
No. I was watering my tomato plants, and they walked up behind me and shot me.
They made you a chef or a gardener?
Yeah. But I had a scene where I had blood on my hands, too.
Uh-huh.
And when Sammy, in real life, found out I was a chef, he built that into the script. So when they show me wiping the blood on my hands and I'm asking him, he wants to know if he can kill somebody in my territory, and I have to give him permission. When he introduces me in the voiceover, he says, "Oh, that's Charles. He'll cut up a person for you." And then they show my hands because he wanted to add that since I was a chef. So,
wow, that's cool, man. Heck yeah!
But that was fun. It was fun to be in a mob movie.
Yeah,
with a real mob person. I mean, a real McCoy. Yeah.
Where could I find it?
On his website.
Okay, on his
Sammy
website.
the Bold, and his birth name is Salvatore.
Okay,
and the movie's called Salvatore.
Okay,
yeah.
Salvatore, Sammy the Bold. Yeah. Keep that in mind, man. I see you in there because you do have a good voice for sure. It's nice and deep, and
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I had a high voice when I was 52. No,
man, acting, man. That's an interesting one, right? Because you have to. It's almost like. Not auditioning for the Boston Marathon, but you know those auditions. It's a lots of no's, and you just have to keep going.
That's been, I've loved introducing it at this stage in life, because I think we get, I don't know. There's something nice about childhood, at least mine, where I think it's part of childhood, where you can watch kids. I mean, some kids get upset if they fail at anything, but childhood is all about trying something and failing and trying something and failing, and just you have no idea what you're going to like. You just keep doing whatever your friends do and all sorts of things, and we lose that. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to hear no. We don't want to think it's just a part of a process of learning some craft, something.
Yeah, we lean into the comfort side of things.
Yeah, and it's been fun to introduce that again. Running can bring those challenges stuff, but it's been fun to put that back in and get really comfortable with. I don't get almost any of the auditions I do.
We talked about it. We don't get a response. No. We don't get a no. It's just so, you either get the yes or just figure it's a no.
And it's I think it's fun to challenge yourself with that, challenge it at a new age. The other thing is, I'm not trying to be a star, for goodness sakes. I work on sets with people who are in their 20s and 30s who think they're going to be, and I wish them luck, but I don't put any pressure. Yeah. It's just a fun craft, and it's also an amazing craft to watch happen.
Yes.
So almost, if you're a diner in a restaurant, occasionally I would suggest, instead of watching the chefs on TV and think you know them, if you like restaurants, ask to meet the chef and get to know them. That's the real chef in your life, not the one on TV. The one on TV, I've been on those shows. They're acting, I promise you. That's not who they really are for the most part.
Yeah.
And get to know them, and then ask them to, you want to peek into the kitchen while they're working. And the set on these, commercials, movies, I just shot one last week for the VA. The amount of people and the skill of all the people that do the lighting and the sound, and it's amazing. Yeah. All the
different moving components to make
it's one. It's so cool to get to understand that. Yeah.
So you were in the Navy. Did you cook in the Navy as well?
No, I was. For the Navy, they call it a machinist mate, which was basically a mechanic. But I had a specialty. I was going to be in submarine service and in the nuclear program, and that took a 6-year commitment. And after a couple of the schools, I did something wrong. They got me thrown out of the nuke program, but I had finished nuke school. So I had...
They didn't trust you with your finger over the button.
So I had a funny combination where I had the nuke school behind me, so I was allowed into the reactor rooms. And I was very good mechanically, literally lathing steel and stuff, I mean, from scratch. And
Damn.
so for a couple of years, I was put on a repair team that we would go fix nuclear-powered submarines and ships that had issues and fix them at sea. So it was fun.
Wow, isn't that scary? Like, everybody thinks, I hear it, and I know that nuclear is some of the safest,
Absolutely.
power we can use. But you just think about, like, nuclear, you got to fix it. There's something wrong with it? What do you mean? You're going to be exposed to this radiation.
Most of the repairs had nothing to do with the reactor.
Yeah.
The reactor is just the source of heat. From that point on, it's just a steam-powered vessel.
Yeah.
And most of the repairs are in the steam part, not the uranium part. But you do have to know what to do in there as well.
Yeah.
But I never had to make a repair in that part of an engine room.
Oh, gotcha.
Those are pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
I felt much safer on those than old oil-burning ships, or with fuels and petroleums and flammable things all over the place. No,
yeah, that leak,
right? No, those engine rooms are tight. Yeah.
So you've been on a submarine before?
Uh-huh.
What's that feeling like? Like you're just in this tube.
Know.
You just.
Even if you're on a surface ship,
is it wider than this pathway here?
The entire boat?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But even if you're on a surface ship, you don't go up and sit on it's not like a cruise. You don't go sit up on the deck a lot.
Yeah.
So most of the time, even if you're on a surface ship and at sea, you're just inside some part of the ship. So it doesn't seem that different.
Yeah.
It doesn't move, so you don't feel the waves.
Oh, gotcha.
That's an odd feeling at first. It's amazingly still.
Because you're below the current, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could still get in
Well,
a
there's
current,
stabilizers, though, so even if you're in current, there's stabilizers for the...
What technology?
So,
Jesus.
But it's very still.
Yeah.
It's very quiet compared to surface ships because there's the friction of the water, there's the movement against the waves, there's the just that giant steel thing flexing up against the surface makes sounds, so it's very quiet, and it's almost like the Boston Marathon of running or of boats.
Yeah.
Only the best sailers get onto submarines.
Oh, okay.
So it's a good crew.
Yeah.
They're great people to be around. So I liked it. And it's very efficient. Surface ships have a lot of people. The repair ship I was on had almost 1,000.
Jeez.
Aircraft carriers have 5,000.
Yeah, small cities,
so
towns.
That brings a different element. There's a lot of people that almost at times have to find things to do. And in a submarine, there's not a wasted body.
Gotcha.
So you're always busy. You always have an assignment. It's very, very efficient. So for that, I liked it. I never thought about, I'm underwater or I'm not, or doesn't cross your mind.
Especially when you have such a task.
Yeah, it doesn't really cross your mind.
Yeah, there's not that downtime where you're really having to figure out, how do I fill my time? No, you have your tasks that need to be executed.
When they're at sea, there's 2 crews. And when they're at sea, you work 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 24 hours a day, forever.
Gotcha.
Like as long as you're at sea.
Wow.
You're in that pattern of living.
Yeah.
So you do your duty for 6 hours, and I was in the engine room, and then you get off, you eat, shower, sleep for a couple hours, wake up and do that. So you just get in this routine of life.
Yeah.
And you have no idea if it's night, day, doesn't matter. You're underwater. It's not relevant.
Yeah, sure. Your circadian rhythm is thrown off.
So it's cool. It's a cool thing to live in, that when you head off into the rest of your life, you can kind of say, okay, this idea of daylight, sun, like the time of day, this and that, how much sleep I have to have continuous. No, I don't. I've been in a different world, and it worked just fine. So I can take that to this world and say, okay, I'm not going to get stressed out over this or that, because I can approach it the same way. I can just get in this pattern and be okay that it works.
Yeah, you were given a tool set, to work with adverse scenarios to that.
Right, and it worked great. I liked living that way as far as sleep.
Yeah.
I started to really like living in like 2-3 hour increments versus one long 8 hour.
Were just the dreams wild then at that point? Because
It's
at
intense.
first you were like,
you're sleeping intense for 3 hours. Yeah,
That's true,
you get down to the deepest sleep as fast as possible. Yeah.
speed sleeper.
So, but I liked the Navy.
Yeah.
I went to some amazing places. I mean, I went all over the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And I joined when I was 17. I was done when I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't far behind in college.
Yeah.
But I had been all over the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I did then. I still kind of do. I feel like, I mean, I would say I'm more of a pacifist than I am a military-minded person.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But so I didn't put myself in a role when I took what role I was going to do, as a mechanic.
Yeah.
Where I thought I would have to be asked to kill someone or anything like dramatic like that. But
Gotcha.
I do think to make this whole damn thing work, our country, that all of us should commit to serving in some way, in some service way, and the reality is part of living on this world is that sometimes dangerous stuff happens to us and we have to be ready. So that part was there. But in any capacity, I think it's a good thing if we took a couple years and everybody did something
to serve the
for
country.
the greater good.
Yeah, for that.
Anything that's a greater good than just their individual pursuits.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I feel that, especially as I get older. So much shit just starts to make sense to me as I get older. But that's one of the things I also was like, man, maybe I should have, served, because I always viewed it as a way out. You got nothing else to really go to. There you go. Just because a lot of the people I saw go into it were just like, so lost. I don't have anything else. Someone tell me what to do.
Right.
And now it's like, yes, there's still people. When you talk about the military industrial complex and all that, of course, people are going to exploit anything. But as far as on the ground floor, you serving your country, mm-hmm. the place that you call home and your community,
right?
That should be something that is really instilled, and we should strive towards making that a reality, because I think we would feel a little bit more connected to it instead of just completely taken aback and seeing it through like a film or glass.
Right. Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely,
I agree.
And I ate some really good food all over the world. There's some good stuff throughout Asia that it was so cool to experience.
Oh, man. Yeah. We've seen all those cultures and trying to speak the language.
Absolutely. I was glad I didn't go to Europe and stuff like where basically everyone looked like me.
Yeah.
And most of them were probably going to be able to speak English. I went to some places where it was, this is 1979, 1980, 1981.
Okay.
Where it was a perfect time in my life to realize not everybody's American.
Yeah.
This is a big world. Mm-hmm, There's some really, really amazing cultures and countries and histories much older than our country is. And it was good to see it firsthand. So when stereotypes would come later, or stories, or you knew they weren't real. Mm-hmm, it's like, no, I've been there. That's not that. And it was cool. Like I even went to Somalia.
Dang.
Before it was a dangerous place to go for Americans.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah. A lot of places though. Yeah.
Dang, that's off of the Horn of Africa? Is that?
Somalia is, it's up, it's right up just, what is that, west of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, off of the Arabian Peninsula.
Yeah.
Hey, man. And you got to experience all those foods.
Yeah. And I didn't realize at the time that would be meaningful later.
Yeah.
I just like to eat.
And you got to gather around.
With people. Yeah, I had a very adventurous friend. So most sailors,
yes,
when the ship pulls into the port, they've got a wad of cash, a lot of other things, and they just want to go have sex. That's all they want to do. The port cities around the world were merchant ships and naval ships
And brothels.
go is built for that. You know, you got 3 days off. Well, this is the city to be in. We can take care of you for 3 days.
Yeah.
But my friend and I would go to other cities or go away from the port city and then just go to these little, just what we would call mom and pop places, and just have whatever they were making, like the coolest food. And it was really fun. Yeah.
What's
Really cool.
that what kind of would play into like these food travel shows? Like, what were some of your favorites? Did you even watch those because you're already in the business?
Well,
How's that work?
I like some. I don't like the cooking shows. I do like the food travel shows that their emphasis is showing off the culture of the place where they are and not the host of the show.
Yeah.
But this was before all that. Like, so we got to experience that and firsthand. We didn't know we were doing that. We were just two 20-year-olds with a lot of money and who like to eat.
Yeah.
and had a comfort in going into places where nobody spoke English, and we just figured it out. We didn't care.
Yeah.
But again, you just find once they kind of have they get the idea, okay, you're two Americans, we don't know what you're doing here, and you don't know, but you're here to eat. Sure, we have food. Here, we'll feed you. And they're great, hosts, and the hospitality was wonderful, and it was all perfect.
Yeah, and to them, it's like, here's my opportunity to showcase our culture, our being, our food.
Right.
And I'm sure they watch you intently on how you, enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
food.
You could tell where they thought, oh, this one's going to freak them out. And they would get a good laugh for a reaction to the texture or whatever, because they would know, oh, this isn't the kind of thing Americans eat.
Yeah, your palate's not built up for it.
Yeah. But it was fun. But Singapore was really cool because Singapore's an enormous port city. So there were a lot of cultures in Singapore. It wasn't just, so going to Japan, going to Hong Kong had a similar feel, but certain places it was just all that cuisine. So, obviously you go to Japan and it's all going to be, especially back then, just Japanese food. But in Singapore, it was so multicultural. So in 3 days you could eat Australian food, Indonesian food, Chinese food, Vietnamese food, Malaysian food, all different stuff in one city. And
it's top tier because it has to be to stay in business.
Yeah, but again, these were mostly like just joints in an alley street. Like no fancy restaurants, no hotels, nothing like that. Yeah. Dang. Just little mom and pop places.
What's one of the sketchiest places you had ever been and had like the best meal that you could remember? So, where you're like, I can't believe we made it out. Like walking in, you're like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it out of here.
Oh, I got it. So Singapore has these really dense sections of the city where it's literally alleys because there's not a lot of car transportation in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Most people by foot, and they're taking public transportation. So they are streets technically, but they feel like the width of an alley. And on both sides, the building might go up 30 stories on both sides with like the laundry going between the buildings and all that.
Yeah.
So we went down one of those, and there was a little shop with only 2 tables, and they had a case that looked like what we would put pies in. So you go to a bakery place, and the pies would be in the glass case spinning around, and you would. But in this one, it just had all these different things that looked like the dim sum, the steamed buns.
Yeah.
But all different shapes and colors of the dough and shapes of the thing that was in them. Like what animals wrapped up in that thing. And on that trip, there were 3 of us. And we ate everything they had.
Really?
But when we walked in, they hadn't served anyone. And it was really empty. Again, it was 2 tables. And it was just... And we didn't know what we were getting. And so we just said, yeah. And they started bringing them. And everything was so good. But there was things on there, like we were eating whole animals of some sort.
They just were cooked for so long that you were just chewing through everything.
Yeah, we didn't know half of it what we were eating. But we literally sat there for probably 3 hours, and we ate everything in the case that they had made for the day.
Dude, how are your shits?
And they closed the restaurant. Like, that was it. They were done. They had done their thing. But the strangest thing I ever ate was in the Philippines. And it's called balut.
Balut.
And basically what it is a fermented fetal duck or chicken. They take the eggs. So chicken eggs hatch in like 21 days. So like with 2 or 3 days to go, they bury them in the ground.
Gotcha.
And that's a perfect sealed vessel of acids and salts, and protein.
Gotcha.
Right? So once it gets cold, right? So when the bird sits on it and it maintains the temperature, all the process takes place and it turns into a bird.
Yes.
But if you chill it and kill that process, then everything in there just starts to pickle itself and ferment itself and everything. And so they bury them in the ground, and then they dig them up. I think it's months later.
Yeah.
But it's sealed, so there's no air, there's no oxygen, so it's not spoiled.
Yes.
And you crack that open and eat it.
What's it smell like, dude?
And so there's a beak. All the bones are soft. There's the beginning of feathers.
Yeah.
All the innards. You eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's all basically been pickled or
Yes,
cured.
Yeah. Dang, man.
That was a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Woo. That was
I did.
good. But I mean, what we always thought was, well, they're eating them.
Yeah.
And they're not dead. I mean, this isn't going to kill me.
Yeah.
So, and just stop thinking about what it is. Just eat it.
Yeah.
Like, let it be what it is in your mouth, but don't project
Everything else
the
that
grossness
we do. Yes.
onto it. And it was, it felt like, for the most part, it felt like lox. Like
Gotcha.
cold smoked salmon. It's felt that kind of, because that's what that is. That's just cured protein.
Which cultures had to do before we had refrigeration.
Right. Well,
and all
that's where the history is. The history is they would do that so the eggs wouldn't spoil. Yeah. And they would have protein throughout the year.
Exactly.
And they could just keep digging them up and eating them.
Wow.
Right. And they wouldn't have to eat them all at the same time when the birds were in their nesting phase. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to prepare for all that.
Right.
We just
and all cultures have that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Korea has kimchi that they would bury in the ground. And yeah.
Just so good for you.
But there it was protein. It wasn't plants.
Yeah.
And it was interesting.
Hey, did you ever go like hard, like either vegetarian or carnivore, or were you just always a lover and indulger of foods?
Yeah, I eat everything.
Yeah.
And the only thing I try to do now is just eat things the closest to their natural state. I mean, that's my only rule. Eat as many colors as you can.
Yeah.
Eat as many things from different places that they're made available. So eat vegetables that grow in the ground. Eat vegetables that grow on the plant at this height. Eat vegetables and nuts that come from giant trees. Like they all serve a different purpose. They all have different microbes that come from the environment that they're from. Eat the plant itself. Eat the fruit from the plant. Eat as many things in their natural state, as close to their natural state as possible. So don't buy a carrot if it's been peeled and cut for you and then frozen. Buy the carrot.
Buy the carrot itself.
Because that can only last so long and still have good texture.
Yeah.
Where the other one could last forever and you have no idea how old it is.
Oh no.
So as close to it being alive.
Yeah.
Whether it's an animal or a plant as possible. And at an early age, I had a brother-in-law who taught me about colors. He was a biology major, and his big thing was all those colors have different nutrients.
Yes.
So eat as many colors as you can.
Yeah.
When you eat.
In my mind, it's the darker the color, like so the closer to like even purple, I guess, like the better it is.
Better for certain things, but everything has a different thing. So if and now. With processed food, almost everything is some shade of brown or tan or like that's.
That's my daughter's favorite foods, man. My son's another. You get a kick out of my son. You could give him anything, and except chocolate. He hates chocolate.
Oh wow.
But yeah, everything else he raw vegetables. Yeah, he'll go to town on it. He's a strange one in that case. It's a strange one.
My kids grew up in restaurants.
Yeah.
And that was good because we talked before about traveling with them, going out to eat with them, not being confined. So if your kids grow up in restaurants, they learn how to behave in them. And they learn that the experience is kind of fun. to sit there and appreciate that the person is serving you and that whole thing. So that was,
especially someone in your shoes that interacts with the staff. I would imagine you interact with the staff more than the average person,
right?
Versus the average person is just sitting there, bring me my food,
right?
This where you might have a couple more questions,
and I almost always ask to meet the chef, if it's good. Like I want to tell them, and that's why I said earlier, you should see that person face to face and say, "Man, this was great," or tell her it was wonderful. But they always see that, God. And that's a funny story on that. A downside is when my son, I think he was probably 4 or 5, and he was still adorable, and the big eyes and the curly hair and the little cute kid. And we were at a restaurant in downtown Phoenix. I won't say what it is, but it had just opened, and we were going to try it out. And the food wasn't bad, but operationally it didn't open well.
Gotcha.
And so he was watching me watch the restaurant and probably saying stuff to my wife like, "Oh, that they shouldn't have done that, and they put the bus station in the wrong spot, and that's not working well," and whatever. And that's just what I do. That's the nature. But the meal went on. Food was too slow. And then when the waitress came back to do the check back. How is everything?
Oh, he just
the little boy. No, this little smiley boy just picked his face up. No warning on our part at all. And he just looked at her and said, "If my dad ran this restaurant, he'd fire you."
Oh my God.
So
poor girl.
Sympathy tip was huge.
Yeah.
But that was that. But they grew up in that world, and so it's nice now because now they're in their 30s, and when we go out to eat, we still live in that world. Like we go up to Vegas a lot, we go out all the time, and my kids appreciate it. They get it. They get how hard restaurants are.
It's a hard business.
They appreciate really well-made food, and they appreciate the whole environment of the exchange. That we're here to respect you. You guys are doing a nice job. That whole thing. It's nice to go out with your kids when they're adults, and at least a few lessons they picked up on.
Oh,
and
man,
that's a good one. So you can still share meals.
Bring a little tear to your eye.
I don't like going out with people who don't appreciate how hard it is. Don't appreciate just hospitality. The simple hospitality.
Some people that just
like
have
here.
Yes,
exactly. Just the simple thing of a smile and a actual interest in like, oh no, we'll try to make your experience here nice, whatever it is I'm providing for you.
Yeah. You've done a great job, man.
They're good.
How old were you when you became a parent?
30.
30. That's a good age.
Yeah, the beginning of a chef career takes a lot of time when you're trying to prove yourself. So I didn't want to have kids until I had a little more control on my schedule.
Yeah.
So 30, my son was born when I was 30, my daughter when I was 32.
Gotcha. Yeah. Those are good ages to be at, in my opinion, where you're almost pretty much got your bearings about you for a bit and be like, okay, now I'm kind of situated,
Yeah. And you should think that out. If you're bringing them into the world.
It's so crazy. A lot of us don't.
Think it through.
Yeah. So where did you meet the missus?
Well, I have 2 wives.
Gotcha.
Not simultaneously.
Hey.
My first marriage lasted almost 33 years.
Oh, wow.
But was affected a lot by addiction. Not mine. So, and it was tied to me committing to a difficult career. So we met at a restaurant. We worked in a restaurant together. I got remarried 4 years ago.
Congratulations.
To my high school sweetheart.
Whoa, full circle.
But we didn't date in high school because I was too immature, too scared. She was too pretty. So she knew I had a crush on her. I made that clear, but I never asked her out on a date. Never thought I could. They never thought she'd say yes. And amazingly, so she reconnected with me on Facebook. And then amazingly, she had the yearbook from high school. And in the yearbook in high school, 1979, I wrote in her yearbook, you know that I love you, and you know that we're going to be together someday, but I have to go grow up.
Whoa. Dude.
So it took me 46 years or whatever. But so we're married now. And it's been wonderful. She had 3 kids. I have 2. They're all in their 30s.
Yeah.
We have 5 grandchildren under 5 years old or younger, combined in our 2 families.
Yeah.
And it has its own challenges.
For sure.
But it's been really nice. Because when your kids are young,
Yes.
when your kids get old, you know, don't waste your time hoping they'll be a doctor or a lawyer or this and that.
Yeah.
Let them choose their jobs, and their jobs don't reflect you. You want to be more proud about how they live their lives, not who they are, but how they approach the world. And so, for the most part, like our 5 kids took this change in their lives appropriately. In other words, they were happy for their mom and dad, and they did not perfectly, but for the most part, said that's what's most important.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with us. You two should be happy. And introducing these other people creates its own challenges.
For sure.
There's exes and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great. She has a son who's a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. So I just ran the Marine Corps Marathon a few months ago to honor him because he was stationed in Washington, D.C. at the time. And she has 2 daughters. One is a flight nurse, getting her master's right now, a nurse practitioner degree. The other lives here in Phoenix. It's a mother of 2. So the son also has 2 kids on her side. And then my son has a boy, Raphael. And my daughter is married, but no children yet.
That who you were splashing in the puddles with?
Absolutely.
There it is, man.
I love playing with Raphael. Yeah.
Man, they you find out that they bring more of the kid out in you now? Like the grandchildren do?
Well, you're free to be a kid.
Yes,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you let yourself.
Yes.
I like it. I like going, no, you're the parent. I'm gonna be the play toy. I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's your reward after all these years of just trying to create, discipline and just trying to formulate a way for them to have like a good head on their shoulders.
Right.
Have your own reasoning and logic of why you do what you do, and in turn to make them happy and them proud in their own work instead of us. Like, it's good for us to say, hey, I'm proud of you. And that's what I try to do. I try to say, I'm not proud of the accomplishment as much as I'm proud of your efforts that got you to there, So it's like, it's not the fact that, oh, you got first place or you got this.
Right.
That's awesome. This is what I'm proud of.
Right. And I think it's crucial. Well, I think one of the lessons you learn as they get older is how little they learned from what you told them, and how much they learned from them watching who you are.
Dude, I just came across that quote, a similar quote today.
That is true. They learn so much more about you, but because they're always watching you.
Yeah, they really are.
You don't think they're watching you, or they're listening to you from another room, or they're listening to you on the phone, talk to another human being, or they're watching you interact with a waitress when they're 4, or whatever.
Huge.
And you might only talk to them in it's my turn to be the parent, I have to teach you a life lesson, or I'm going to discipline you. That might be 3 minutes in a day. And the rest of the waking time, you don't think they're learning from you, but they're watching you all the time.
Intently.
And what you hope is the best thing that can happen is when they get to be 28 and 30 and 32 and they get to be a parent, and you look and go, I see me.
Yeah.
But I see the part I wanted them to learn, like the part that was important to me, about me. They seem to have learned it. And not because I told them to be like me.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. But know they're going to learn from that. They're going to watch you all the time. And my my daughter-in-law did a wonderful thing. When she was pregnant with my sons, when they got pregnant, she did a thing where she reached out to about 20, 25 men in his life who were dads and asked them to write him advice about being a dad. So uncles, grandfathers, dads, cousins who had children, a couple friends of mine. And she has that book now. And when you read through it, I wrote my thing that I wrote, but it was very common. The gentleman, my stepson, who's the lieutenant colonel, lots of people who were dads. And the common thread amongst all these men from 80 years old to 24 was they don't owe you anything. You owe them. You brought them into the world.
Yeah.
You chose them. They didn't choose you. So they don't owe you a damn thing. They're not here to prove something to you. You're here to prove something to them. You're the one who chose to bring them here. And that's true. That is, they really don't. People might say, oh, they owe you respect. No. You'll get that if you've earned it. But in the end, they don't have to do a job that pleases you. They don't have to turn out to be the kind of person who pleases you. They don't.
Yeah.
They have to be themselves. And a lot of us don't want to look at that but a lot of us, we didn't make our choices to make our parents happy. We just made our choices to make us happy. But I think that's important because too many parents think the child owes them something.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Yeah, I brought you into this life, so I have this. It's like, no, that's why you owe it to them.
Right. And that was, that goes back to that photo. That another reason that photo was so dramatic to me, for me at 50. Because my son at 18 reminded me of me. And I didn't grow up with a father. Like, my biological father was long gone and not worthy of even having. I'm glad he left. I didn't want him in my life. I'm glad he was never in my life, really. So, but there was my son at 18 standing next to his dad. And when I looked at that picture, I thought, that's not. I don't want him. I don't want my son to look at that man and think that's his future.
Oh, yeah.
I want my son to look at his dad and think life is good when you're 50 and 55 and 60 and it's fun and you enjoy it and you live with passion and you live a live life. I don't want him to dread getting old looking at his dad.
Exactly.
So, I always go back and look at that picture. I don't want to ever forget what it captured.
Yes. Yeah. I'm the same with you in that regard. You know, I was almost 260, you know, and I had, my kids were just born. I think my son was maybe a year and a half. And I was like, man, I'm taking in all this information, listening to all these podcasts about health, and I'm not doing anything with it.
Right.
And I'm like, I gotta change. I gotta figure this out because I gotta be here later. I want to be able to run around, you know, splashing puddles with my grandkids. I want to be on the jungle gym. Be that grandpa that's like, how is this guy still doing this? You know, but that's what I want to. I want to be for my kids and for their grandkids to just allow them to live life to the fullest. So,
yeah, you referenced the puddle thing. So to share, I just ran a 5K with my son this past Sunday morning, and you know, again, the way that it's evolved, it was exactly how I would want it to be. We weren't racing each other. I'm faster than him, but that's not relevant. Like that wasn't even. It doesn't even come up. It's just, it's good that he sees his 61-year-old dad liking to be alive.
Yes.
And living with passion and living with, you know, and the discipline of, okay, so if you're going to pick a goal, work at it. You know, he saw the process. So he doesn't, and there's not competition between us. It's just mutual respect.
Yeah.
I like that he's tried to commit to it, and he's gotten pretty fast, and he looks at me and knows, well, I know the work it took for him to get there, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But there's no competition. It's just a wonderful shared, you know, 25 minutes of running together.
Yeah. Man.
And it was great. and
That's
it was
awesome.
great. Yeah,
I'm glad you guys had that.
yeah.
Oh, it looks like we might be cut off. Hold on. What time do they close?
I don't know.
Might be closing right now.
We did get the light flash
We got
though.
the light. Yeah, as a comic, I'm like, I got 1 minute left. That's awesome. Well, I guess we'll kind of end on this note where Forrest, one of the guys in the F3 workout group, the guy that brought me into it, you know, he's 56, 57, and he's approaching the years where all the male figures in his life, you know, have passed away.
Right.
And a lot of his friends that he went to high school with are getting sick and passing away and all that. And he's just like, I'm glad I'm on the path I am because he's living healthy. I mean, he just ran the half marathon with me, you know, and he's, you know, he got 20 years on me. So it's like something to look forward to. And Glory, one of the other guys in the group, was like, just so you guys are also aware, like he didn't just wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go run this half marathon and do all these rucks. No, he's been slowly training for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And making it part of his life and making it a priority.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, I can look forward to because I look at him and I look at you, what you're accomplishing that, you know, I have a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And that's a testament to this group, this F3, you know, I've allows me to meet all these wonderful, you know, hymns, as we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I've liked being part of it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it was created by two military guys, but it reminds me of that feel of boot camp, of getting to know each other through that, like shared difficulties that we all do.
Exactly.
But I really like that it's such a broad age range.
Huge.
Because it benefits everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm the oldest or one of the oldest every time I go.
You're up there. I think Paperboy just turned 69.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's wonderful to be in your 60s and have something where you regularly share with a 20-year-old guy, because you're not in their world anywhere else. I mean, unless they're an employee. You're not in their world anywhere else, or they're your son. But it's great. It's great like that during Ragnar. I think we had a 35-year age range.
Yes.
Doing that all night together. And that's great when you're older. Because it does keep you young.
It keeps you young, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have my son there, you know, when he was 5. And again, up to Paperboy, who's probably going to be 70 this year, if he didn't turn 70 last year.
Cool.
I don't recall. It's a great group. Definitely recommend it. People are interested in your story, following you, your acting career, your chef, all the other activities that you're doing.
Pretty much across the board, ChefABC.
ChefABC.
You'll find me through that Instagram, Facebook, whatnot. That's generally, I learned the lesson I'm supposed to have one.
That's true.
So that, because those are my initials are ABC, so that you can find there.
Yeah. And he doesn't cook you alphabet soup, you assholes.
Only if you want it.
Alex, thanks so much for coming on. You were mentioning a Mexican restaurant. Should we hit it and do that?
My treat.
You're the man. All right, thank you.
You got it.
Much
Enjoyed
love.
it.